What helped most to prepare you for working as a psychologist? I think lived experience. Lived experience of going through challenging times, sometimes when those were traumatic, and importantly, being able to come through that, accessing support from others, and also kind of developing ways of making sense of those experiences and myself in ways that were constructive. And were able to orient me to the future and to broader horizons, I suppose, than the limiting experience. So that's probably what best prepared me for work as a psychologist, in all honesty. I think I've also been prepared for working as a psychologist through, I find it difficult saying this, but bearing witness to other people's stories. And so that's within communities I used to participate within, youth communities, and talking to people, not shying away from some of the hard stuff to talk about. So having good, deep and meaningfuls with people. I think those experiences definitely prepared me for being a compassionate listener. I don't know if it's something that I've been socialised with from my whānau, but certainly having a capacity for empathy. I think that really helped shape and prepared me for working as a psychologist. I was quite unprepared for some of the ways in which psychology can further pathologise people. So ways in which some of the theories and approaches can actually stigmatise people. I'd sort of naively come in thinking that, working as a psychologist, and I'm just to clarify, I work as a psychology lecturer. I teach and do kaupapa Māori research. So actually my journey through those spaces were kind of formed through wanting to resist some of the deficit-focused assumptions about Māori people that are often perpetuated through psychological theories and patterns of practice. Other unexpected things, I think, was the ways in which, it shouldn't be unexpected, but actually feeling really deeply and caring for people, feeling sometimes feeling compelled to kind of work beyond what I usually would, because I really believe in what I'm doing and really feel strongly about the kinds of projects I'm involved with and invested in, and just how fulfilling that kind of work can be when you're oriented to social justice and you're working with communities of praxis, communities of change, and everybody's, while they might have different opinions, everybody's sort of oriented to the same kind of cause. So that was unexpected and delightful, actually. Some of the friendships I've had and made within psychology have been really fantastic, and actually orienting me to thinking about how things, can be inclusive and respectful. I guess are sort of two main words that come to mind. That my communities of praxis at work really help to cultivate. Yeah. What advice do you have for students preparing for their careers? I think actually having some engagement with, if you're thinking about, working as a clinician, having some engagement with the mental health system. So understanding its pressure points, understanding areas where it could be improved, understanding some of the restraints that are difficult to change and that perhaps could require broader solutions. I think having a better understanding of the mental health context informed my decision to do work in research, to kind of inform policy and those sorts of decision-making levels. So I would advise people who are thinking about a career in that way to really gain some experience in the context that they see themselves working in, so that at that point they can decide whether or not they want to invest that level of time and effort into gaining those specific qualifications. Some other advice that the wonderful Yanni Allen gave to me, and I've been preparing some resources for Māori and Pacific students about careers in psychology, and she was suggesting that just ring people up. Say, hey, look, I'm doing this sort of work in this area. I'm really interested in your organisation. Do you have any vacancies anywhere that I could be in this space? And try and make those opportunities for yourself to kind of get a foot in the door, start those conversations. And if you do end up doing further study in a particular area, then you've got that kind of relationship on hand to see whether or not there's still those possibilities available. Thinking about yourself in psychology within your holistic complexity, think about your whakapapa, what life was like for your ancestors, what their struggles were, what ways in which there might be some sort of continuities of those in the present, and ways in which you might want to kind of re-envision the future and think about how the world can be different and better for our future whakapapa. Yeah, that would be advice I'd have to students who are thinking about psychology, is to not lose sight of those holistic motivators for coming into psychology.